Increased carbon emissions, global warming, and climate change are emerging as critical issues for environmental sustainability, as well as human development around the world. And one of the major causes for this is rampant forest degradation and illegal logging. Forests play a fundamental role in sustenance of life on Earth, climate regulation, and provide many more services. The exponentially growing population and the demands certainly puts a huge pressure on our natural resources. Judicious use of forests and their resources has become the need of the hour. Forest certification has emerged as a market-based, non-regulatory conservation tool designed to recognize and promote sustainable forest management. Through certification, forest management, harvest planning and practices are evaluated by an independent third party according to standards addressing environmental protection as well as social and economic welfare. Certification has two components: Forest Management Certification, or FMU, for forest owners, and Chain of Custody Certification, or COC, for industry. Realizing the need to manage the natural resources sustainably, several first world countries have put trade restrictions and regulations, emphasizing use of responsible wood procurement on import of non-certified forest products in their countries. Further, there is a positive consumer-driven demand for certified forest produce in these first world markets. The wide spectrum of India's forests represents a microcosm for the whole of South Asia, and within itself, a breathtaking diversity in forest types, ecological zones, richness of biodiversity, and a range of forest products and services. Forests are a significant contributor to India's economy, providing a large variety of tangible and intangible benefits. Yet, less than 1% of forests in India are certified, posing a huge trade barrier to Indian wooden products in global markets. Owing to the economic, social, and environmental factors at stake, it's time that Indian wood industry realizes the importance of responsible sourcing of wood-based products in India. The Network for Certification and Conservation of Forests, a multi-stakeholder institutional initiative in this direction, came into existence in 2015 with the objective of developing a globally aligned certification program in India, addressing the concerns for sustainable management of forests and trees outside the forest, at the same time making the Indian wood and forest fiber-based industry competent globally. The National Forest Certification Standard has been developed through a 2-year rigorous process consisting of 16 technical working group and 5 standard development group meetings, 4 regional consultation workshops, 4 months of online and field consultations, and 3 pilot testing to give its final shape. The formal announcement of the process was made in March 2015 through the International Conference on Forest Certification, Positioning India. This was a significant start to the process to not only ensure transparency and openness, but also to develop awareness amongst the fraternity about the certification scheme and standards that NCCF intend on establishing in the country. The NCCF drafted the standard setting procedures with reference to the internationally recognized best standard setting practices, serving as guidance for the whole process. The process started with an extensive stakeholder mapping, taking UN Agenda 21 as the basis, identifying a wide variety of stakeholders and people with visible interests and expertise in forest management and those affected by the process and products of forest management. The mapping resulted in inviting expression of interests from more than 1,000 stakeholders. The Standard Development Group was constituted with a balanced representation of professional foresters, retired and serving, NGOs, both social and environmental, industry, woodworkers, institutes, state forest departments, and accreditation body representatives. The Standard Development Group, or the SDG, consisted of 26 members, out of which 12 members formed a core technical working group for the drafting of the standard. The TWG drafted a base document covering 6 broad thematic areas. Theme A on legality of the forest management enterprise, Theme B on development and updation of a written forest management plan, Theme C on social, economic and environmental impacts of forest management activities, Theme D on economic viability of forest management operations, Theme E concerning social aspects like rights of forest communities and workers, and lastly, Theme F dealing with environmental and ecological sustainability of forests. Each theme was finalized after 15 days online consultation amongst the larger group. Themes are further organized into principles, which are further elaborated by various criteria for evaluation. As a further stage of refinement, indicators have been developed for each criterion to enable judging the performance in the field. The base document took into account the C&Is of the Bhopal, India process, key elements of the National Working Plan Code 2014, global objectives on forests under UNFF, and the provisions contained in the National Forest Policy. An extended stakeholder outreach exercise was carried out by the IIFM interns to get insights from the disadvantaged stakeholders and spread awareness about the standard. Inputs were invited from the stakeholders through online engagement as well as intensive on-field visits and workshops organized across the country. The modified draft version 1 of the standard was then shared widely for a 60-day public consultation. As a part of the consultation, 4 consultation workshops were held across the country. In Bhopal, in association with IIFM, in Bangalore, facilitated by IWST, in Assam, facilitated by the State Forest Department, in Odisha, facilitated by the Odisha State Forest Department and Odisha Forestry Sector Development Project, and in New Delhi. More than 1,000 comments were received and reviewed by the group during the whole consultation exercise. To check the suitability, relevance, and adaptability of the standard in the multitude of conditions and identifying the areas of non-applicability of standard, the standard version 1.1 was pilot tested in the field at Dandeli Forest Division in Karnataka, Hoshangabad Forest Division in Madhya Pradesh, and Nagaon Forest Division in Assam for geographically varied forest systems. The core team of assessors, consisting of the auditors, representatives from WWF and ICFRE, assessed the areas against the standard requirements and presented their recommendations to the group. The revised final draft version 1.0 of the standard was put for the approval to the group members. The consensus was built via email, telecommunication, and one-to-one meeting. On receiving a united consensus from the larger Standard Development Group, the document was approved by the NCCF governing body in September 2017. The themes, principles, criteria, and indicators are intended to be quite exhaustive, so as to cover all relevant aspects of responsible forest management, yet at the same time dynamic for further revisions based on the changing national and global conditions, and as and when new information, technologies come into significant play. The standard is intended for voluntary application to any forest, plantation, or tree-covered area, regardless of size or ownership, catering not only to the export market but also to the domestic market of India. This has opened new doors for upscaling forestry as an economic sector and improving the forest management practices in the country. The NCCF Forest Certification Standard essentially complements various elements of the Sustainable Development Goals and RED+. This standard will not only widen potential for Indian forest produce to access international and domestic market, but will also discourage illegal logging and promote forest conservation. It also has an imperative benefit for local forest-dwelling communities, safeguarding their interests and livelihood. NCCF's work also expands to other certification areas such as trees outside forests, non-wood forest products, and protected areas and wetlands. This will facilitate a holistic approach to sustainable management of our natural forest resources in the near future and bringing a paradigm shift for conservation of forest biodiversity in India.